Guys, I have no idea how. But it has been a year since I quit my job. This has by far been the fastest year of my entire life. I'm in disbelief. Like truly, it does not feel like it's been a year, but it has. And I just remember so vividly sitting down and making that video telling you guys I was quitting my job, which I actually just did a little poll on my Instagram story asking, were you surprised when I announced I quit? Because I did get some messages from people who were like, I knew this was coming. You could kind of just see in the vlogs, I maybe wasn't the happiest because you saw one side of it where I'm just like, go, 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 living life, smiling. But I certainly did have moments where, I did one vlog talking about burnout, and you could read behind the lines if you really looked. So some of you did, but according to the poll, 72% of you were shocked. And I really...
You might get a turkey out the window.
What? Okay, so as you guys know, we moved into a new house, and apparently there are turkeys here running around. And don't mind this setup, by the way. I'm just in our bedroom because Zach has taken over my office until we put together his office furniture, and then I know he's gonna be eating lunch soon, so I didn't want to film downstairs, so just this is where we are. As I was saying, I really just wanted to sit down and talk about some things that I've honestly never talked about. Like, let's just get real today because it has been a year. I have a slightly different, or a totally different perspective than when I was sitting, not here, but in my old apartment a year ago telling you guys I was quitting. Even just the months following that, like, just a lot has changed. And so I asked you guys to ask me questions on Instagram. You guys delivered. Like, these questions are so good. Question number 1, Brianna Fernandez asked, do you miss the industry? And here's the thing, no. Like, when I think about my day-to-day, I don't miss that because I know what it was like. I know what it was like for my 2 a.m. alarm going off, but oh wait, it actually didn't go off because I couldn't even sleep through the night. That's how anxious I was. That's how stressed I was. I couldn't even sleep in until a 2 o'clock alarm because I would wake up about 10 times throughout the night. Just, is it time to go off yet? Like, I don't know what was up with that. I should probably go to therapy to figure that out, but I literally just, my whole night, I only slept for like 3 to 4 hours at a time, was just me like, oh, I have to wake up. Like, it's gonna be work soon. So that was obviously not great. And then I know the nitty gritty that I've told you guys about, but I feel like if you've never worked in the industry, maybe you don't fully even comprehend. Hold up, that just sounded very condescending. I don't mean that at all. I just mean the reporters who have reached out to me are like, girl, I get it. And a lot of reporters have reached out about getting out of the industry and, just seeking advice or whatnot. I love speaking with reporters, former reporters, all of it. So there's just a lot that you guys maybe just haven't seen. Standing for hours out in the cold, covering heartbreaking stories, having days where you don't even have a second to drink a sip of water. Certainly wasn't every day. Like, I want to make that clear. Those days though, oh my God, like, they really took it out of me. And they happened just based on the news of the day, breaking news. So don't miss that. But do I miss certain aspects? Like, do I miss the wonderful people I worked with? Like, yes, but not, basically I'm grateful for it and I love it. And those moments were amazing. I cherish them and I'll cherish them forever, but I don't want to go back to that. Joseph asked, do you ever treat yourself to extra time in bed now that you don't need to be up early? And I think when I first left the industry, I gave myself some leeway. I was going to later gym classes and I just wanted to experience sleep. Like, I felt like I needed to catch up on sleep so badly. And the thing is, you don't just catch up in 5 days. That was the problem when I was working. I might have a 7-day vacation. I'd go back to work. I'm not rejuvenated. 7 days of normal sleep is not enough. Now that I'm in a normal routine, it just feels so good. I don't ever want to get into lazy habits though. So I've been waking up at 6:40 every day to go to the gym. I prefer to be up early, not 2 a.m. early, but just early. And I don't ever want to get into bad habits, especially as I am my own boss. I could easily sleep in. I could easily do all of that. I just don't feel good when I do that. And I, throughout the past year, have been in periods of time where I am definitely getting more sleep than I need, spending more time in bed than I should. It's not a bad thing, and there's nothing wrong with going to like a 9:30 workout class, a noon workout class, but for me personally in my schedule, it throws off my whole day because I'm not productive then, because I come home then at whatever time and I don't have time to get ready and film, and I just like being productive. Oh, this next one. Biscuit Multi-Poo, that's so cute, asked, do you miss working? In general, not TV news specifically. If I'm gonna be so honest, like, no. I've talked about the fact that YouTube isn't my end-all be-all. Like, I have actually wanted to see what a normal 9-to-5 job is like. That was one of the questions. Maybe I didn't screenshot it because it was so similar, but just asking about the 9-to-5 lifestyle, I've never experienced it. And sometimes I think what is it like where you romanticize it? Like, oh, going into the office. Like, I've just never had that ever, because as soon as I graduated college, I went straight into a job that was very different, off the beaten path, waking up at 2 a.m., getting out of work at 12:30. So I definitely think I romanticize it. I know I do. And like, I really love having so much flexibility. I just like knowing like I could visit home at any time, just those little things. I don't necessarily miss not working. I think if I were to get a traditional job, hybrid would probably be perfect for me, so I can kind of ease into it and like just see what it's like, see if I want to do it, because it will be so different for me. Especially one of the big things with my reporting job, I'm not sitting at a desk all day. I'm going from crime scene to this story to that story. I'm driving around. At times I didn't like that, especially when it's 10 degrees outside, but it would be a big adjustment for me to be just sitting at a desk for 9 hours out of the day. So that is something I'm intrigued by. I want to know what it's like, but I know there are many cons to that as well. I did get a lot of money questions. Financially, do you feel it was the right decision? Financially, yes. The problem with my news job, well, I have been open about the fact that I'm very fortunate. I was able to make a lot. I was working 2 full-time jobs, right? So I had my news salary, which for most people, it wasn't a big salary. And then I had my YouTube AdSense. The problem is my income was capped to a certain degree. For TV news, this is how much I was making. Whereas now, I have YouTube AdSense, which naturally I am making more on just because I'm uploading more than I could when I was a TV reporter. And then I also have brand deals. And the sky is the limit for that, obviously. So I have the potential to make more money. I like the feeling of just knowing like I'm not capped to a certain degree. And the problem with being a news reporter is that I was truly capped. Like, I couldn't do brand deals. So YouTube AdSense could go up and down, obviously, but for my reporting job, that was it. And then, nope, you can't do brand deals because it was a conflict of interest. If I were to get a corporate job in the future, it would be a lot on my plate. I probably couldn't do that many brand deals, but at least the option is there. At least I could have those multiple streams of income. Whereas when I was a reporter, I just couldn't. And it wasn't a big deal. I was making good money, but obviously I was leaving money on the table. I wasn't able to work with certain brands that were reaching out. And obviously that's a little frustrating. Linda asked, plans for getting employed this year? And my main thing is nothing is happening until after the wedding. And even then, I'm just not in a giant rush right now because time. Like, I have been spending so much time with just buying the house, obviously the wedding planning too, but just there's so much that still needs to be done. I mean, I'm sitting in just like a giant empty space in our bedroom. All of that, not finished. Like, there's just so much to do. So I don't think it would be happening anytime soon. However, I'm like I've literally been doing this for the past year. I haven't found anything that I'm interested in. I loosely look on LinkedIn, Indeed. Maybe the dream job would pop up. It hasn't, but I'm always open if it was like a good job though. Like, I'm picky, obviously. And I understand that's a very fortunate situation to be in. Not everyone can be picky, and that's totally okay because you could take something you don't love knowing something else might pop up in the future. So I understand that's a fortunate position to be in. I'm open to it, but I'm not like actively searching right now. Gracie asked, do you regret going into TV news? Also, if you get a new job, what career would you choose? Great question. So no, I do not regret going into TV news. Oh my gosh, like, it shaped my whole life. I met some of the greatest people. I learned so much. I like developed skills I never thought I would. When I look back on some of my first live shots, I mean, I never thought I would be comfortable in front of a TV camera, ever. Like, obviously I'm comfortable right now. It's just me and a camera, but gosh, you put that cameraman behind it. I remember my first cameraman, Kyle, ended up becoming one of my really good friends. I thought I was gonna puke. I like couldn't speak naturally. Like, I was like spit, like I couldn't like swallow. Like, it's just, if you know, you know. If you've been in that situation, maybe public speaking, it's frightening. So I don't know. I'm so happy about my whole news career. It was short. It was 5 years, but I don't regret it at all. And as for a career I would choose in the future, it would be something in like the probably social media space would interest me a lot. PR marketing, somewhere in that space. Jen asked, what was your aha moment when you knew you were ready to be done? Gosh, I could go back and look at diaries. That's why I really recommend keeping a journal. Like, I have it all written down. Things that I would probably not even like remember because it just gets blurry, but I don't know. I remember waking up and being like, I can't keep doing this. And I said that every day for years. I was exhausted. It wasn't just like one moment. Obviously YouTube was a big factor because I was like, okay, I have something to fall back on. I'm making more money doing this other thing I love so much more. And yeah, me quitting was a long time coming. Obviously, I've talked about it before. I was under a 3-year contract at Local 12. But when you have more bad days than good, and you know it's draining you, like I could tell based on my sleep sweating I've opened up about, and all of the nightmares, night terrors, sleepwalking, sleep talking, like just my body was crying out of like, hey, like you're dealing with anxiety, like help. Obviously, I couldn't really help because I had to stay in the job, but I mean, that's when I knew, like, okay, it's not worth it. Kay Jacobson asked, did you ever end up signing with an agent? And in the TV news industry, many reporters have agents. That agent will get you your next job and then in turn, take a cut of your pay. And this varies. It could be like 3%. It could be, I don't even know what the max is. It could be a lot, like 20%. I never did because I never had trouble finding a job. That's not to say like, because I'm so great. It's because in today's day and age with social media, YouTube, I always posted my reels on YouTube. I recommend that if you're a reporter. I didn't need someone like sending in tapes. That's what they used to do back in the day. I just did it all on my own and I did not want anyone taking a cut of my pay. And I have some friends who are locked in for essentially their entire career because this agent says, okay, because I got you this job, I in turn, even if I don't help you with the next job, like that's leading you to your next job. So even if you drop me, I'm getting 8% of your pay or whatever it is, which is nuts. So I ended up not going with an agent. I didn't need to. I mean, I also wasn't going for network jobs. That's different. You probably do need an agent if you're going for big dog jobs, but I was in market like 35, whatever Cincinnati is. So I didn't need one at that point in my career. When you were studying, did you know that it was going to be this hard with the crazy schedule? So I never thought I was gonna be a morning reporter. This was a curveball, came out of left field. I was applying for jobs and then I actually didn't even apply for my first job, but the news director found me on social media, reached out, Dayton, Ohio, and said, I want you for mornings. I was like, what? Like, so do I have to come in at like 6 a.m.? I had no idea. I wasn't necessarily preparing for the hours. As soon as I found out my hours, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be impossible. It actually ended up being less hard than I thought, and the actual job itself ended up being less hard than I thought. I had a couple of friends who were a little bit older than me, and I was in contact with them in college as they were starting their first TV jobs, and it was a very brutal adjustment. So I was prepared, like for just it to not be good in the beginning. I was so prepared, and it was hard, but it all fell into place a lot sooner than I thought. But I was like really prepared for things to be tough. Like I was like, this is going to suck. I was right. It was really hard in the beginning, just with that nervousness, not knowing anything. But I would say I adapted very easily, not because of me, by the way, because of the amazing people I was surrounded by. My boss, my news director, my coworkers, like so grateful for that. Like that truly is the reason I was able to adapt so easily, like the people around me. Newspapers Girl asked, was college worth it since you don't work in a field you studied for? That's my problem as a reporter. Yes, I truly don't have any regrets when it comes to what I majored in, the fact that I did TV news. Like I learned so much, so much. I kind of, now that I'm going into like, okay, maybe I want to do like social media or marketing or PR, would it have been nice to have that as a minor? Yeah, I do think that would be good to have in my back pocket, but listen, it's all about real world experience as well. Not to mention, there are so many skills you learn that aren't necessarily just for broadcast journalism, like writing and speaking and just all of the little things, editing, like just, I don't regret it. Starry Multi Simfam asked, how has it been? Do you still talk to your old coworkers? I'm very bad about keeping in touch with people. I do keep in touch with like my close friends, but it's hard. I am not the type of person who just texts someone to like, hey, like if I'm catching up, it's like, let's talk on the phone. I'm not like, hello. Like There has to be a reason for me to be texting you. When people reach out to me, by the way, like haven't talked to you in a while, I am so happy. I'm very bad at doing it, but it really does make me happy. However, can I just say, I have had a few people in my life, this is like one of my biggest pet peeves, who will reach out to me, haven't talked to in several months. Clancy, like just thinking about you, how are you doing? I get the text and I'm so happy. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's thinking about me. This is so sweet. I send a whole long response like, oh my gosh, I miss you, da-da-da, how are you? No answer. What, like, were you just like texting me to like cross something off your list? I'm so confused. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Like if I'm reaching out to you, it's because I truly want to converse and catch up and all of that. Social media also really helps. But yeah, the people I met in the TV news industry are just like some of the best people ever. Like I'm so grateful to even know so many of these people. Dev Crumb asked, number one pro for not being a reporter anymore. Stress. Like I am a different human, truly, because I was never off. I never turned off. It was always, oh, that could be a potential story. That could be a potential story. I need to find a story. Working late, like whatever. I was just always on, always. And so stress, and that I feel like I'm actually a human being. Before I wasn't a human. You wanted to hang out on a Saturday night? No, I'd rather just sit at home and stare at a wall. And that's crazy. Like that's not who I am. I am a social person. I really am. I do enjoy staying home with a good book, but I also love being with people. And I just didn't have the energy to do that when I was a reporter. And so finally, I feel like I'm entering life. Like I never had that. Like you see people, especially who move to New York City after college, they have their first party year. It's crazy, it's wild. And I watched on social media as all of my friends did that because I'm from New York. So a lot of my friends moved to New York City. Meanwhile, I was going to bed at 6 p.m. on a Friday and Saturday night still because I was just so tired. So yeah, I never had that. And finally, I feel like I'm entering the world again. Dev Crumb asked another question. Would you have been able to have adequate time off for wedding and honeymoon? Oh my goodness, this would have stressed me out so much because the answer is honestly yes. I was a vacation days hoarder. Like I always just needed to have so many days saved in case I end up doing something, or honestly in case like a tragedy happens and I need to fly somewhere. I'm just I do the same thing with money. Like I needs to be there just in case. I'm a very big like just in case person, which has its downsides because by the end of it, when I was leaving my job, I had all of these days and I'm like, wow, I should have just been taking them throughout the year when I was stressed. So yeah, but it would have stressed me out a lot. I mean, we only get like 10 days, 10 or 12 days a year. So it really would have stressed me out. Chantal Marie Photos asked, do you think it's ever worth it for anyone or any salary to work that schedule? And yes, there are so many people who do it and they do it well and they've just mastered it. Like I look at the anchors at Local 12, Bob, Sheila, they have been doing it for I guess decades now? Years at least. I don't know how long they've been doing it. A long time. And it works for them. So yes, like if it works for you, it works for you. It didn't work for me. And listen, like that's a knock on me. I couldn't do it. I wasn't happy. But some people are. I don't ever want to bash like this schedule because some people it just works for. I think one of our anchors, Sheila, she does not split sleep. She just goes to bed early every night. Works for her. And then one of our other anchors, Bob, he does split sleep. Works for him. So everyone's different. I just was not happy. Hale asked, do you feel it's harder to think of YouTube content ideas now? And you know what's funny? No, but the answer is it's always hard. When I was a reporter, it was hard, especially toward the end, because I understand like you might think like, oh my gosh, TV reporter, like that's a very exciting life. At the end of the day, it's all pretty monotonous. Some of the stories I covered were awesome, but a lot of them were just like budget meetings, court things, and things I didn't want to discuss on YouTube. You know, I never wanted to be like, look at this like murder case I'm following. Like it felt sleazy, so I didn't really discuss that type of thing. But it all felt pretty the same to me. Like I wake up at 2 a.m. and then I do my makeup and then I do my hair and then I go to work. Like life is always, at least for me and what I do, a routine, pretty monotonous. Like now, I mean, my routine's a little bit different. It's not as rigid, but that's I guess the challenge with YouTube, no matter what, unless you're living a crazy life. There are certainly people who do. But that's the challenge. It's like every day feels the same. Like how many times can I label a video like days in my life as a news reporter? And I did get comments from people saying like, this feels like your last vlog. Like you kind of just vlog the same thing every day. And that is true. However, I think part of YouTube, at least for me, like I like watching like routines. Like I find it interesting. There's this person I follow on TikTok who I love, Claudia Walsh. Every day she films almost the same thing with some minor changes, and that's what makes it fun. But her waking up, going to the gym, going to the store possibly, like skin routine, like I just like watching it. I think that definitely does have its niche on YouTube, on TikTok, on social media. So I don't necessarily think it's harder now, but yes, it always is hard. There are always things happening in life though. Like there are always topics. I'm not saying it's interesting to everyone, but to like my core people who like following, hopefully people enjoy, but like there are always topics. Back then, obviously it was news. Now it's wedding, now it's new house, now it's transitioning to this weird new life. Like there are always things, but it's always hard. That's why I love getting your guys' feedback. If you have any ideas, comment them below. What do you want to see? I like filming what you guys want to see. Jay Jilly asked, what do you like best about being self-employed? I mean, honestly, it's just the flexibility. Like even my wedding, not my wedding planner, but the person who's in charge of our wedding venue messaged me about I have to come in for like a 2-hour meeting in a couple of weeks in the middle of the day. If I didn't have this schedule, how the heck would I do that? Like, it's just really nice to have that flexibility. So that's by far what I like the most. I don't like to abuse it. Like I'm not gonna sleep in on a Wednesday, ever. It's just no. I need to be in a routine. That's how I'm happiest. That's not how everyone's happiest though, because if you prefer to sleep in and you're a night owl, that's totally fine. But for me, I like having my routine, but it's nice knowing like I can swerve when I need to. Oh, she's so sweet. The person in charge of the venue actually just messaged me saying like, oh, I'm pretty sure like you're living your best life and not here so we could do it on Zoom. And I said, I actually bought a house. And she said, Clancy, oh girl, congrats to you and Zach. Anyway, so sweet. Jess Edwards asked, are you worried about a gap in your corporate jobs for your resume? I'm not, because I personally, and not everyone agrees with this, like even hiring people don't agree with this. I am more proud of what I am doing on YouTube and social media than what I did as a news reporter. Like I know not everyone sees it that way and that's fine. But to me, this was harder, like building something from nothing and doing my own thing and connecting with people online. I'm prouder of this than when I was a reporter. Don't get me wrong, it was hard, but I was following a cookie cutter path. Where I went to college, I majored in broadcast journalism. I graduated, I made a reporter reel, a bad reporter reel, it was so bad. I sent it in, I got my first job, then I got another, like, don't get me wrong, all amazing accomplishments. I'm so proud of it, but I'm also proud of this. And not everyone's going to agree. There are plenty of jobs, if I do start applying to jobs, where they'll be like, oh, she doesn't even have any like real experience in PR or marketing or anything like that. But that's okay. I don't want to work for anyone who doesn't see this as an asset too. I want to work for someone who recognizes that. And that's the same thing that happened when I was applying for TV jobs. There were plenty of people who probably saw my YouTube and laughed at it. And they were like, no, we do not want this at all. I had bosses though who liked it and recognized it as a good thing. And that's why I really got along with all of my bosses. Like, I think they were good people. We all had similar mindsets, and those are the people I want to work for anyway. Avery asked, if you got paid big money on a major station, would you go back to morning reporting? I don't think so. I just don't think I could do that to my body. I don't really make too many decisions based on money, in the sense like I majored in broadcast journalism. I was told throughout my whole college career, you're gonna make nothing, which was, I mean, I didn't make nothing, but it was true that all of my friends were making more than me. Who cares? Like, I can pay the bills, we're gonna be fine. And I've just never been that influenced by money, I don't think. And also, I don't live that expensive of a lifestyle, which also has an impact. Like, if you want to be buying designer bags and this and that, you're gonna have to make a lot of money, and that's okay. I have some friends who work in finance who don't really like it, but it pays their bills and it pays their big bills. Like, they want that luxury apartment in Manhattan and the designer, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they know they have to work and do that job to maintain that lifestyle. So for me, mornings, no. Something in the TV sphere where I don't have to wake up at 2 a.m., maybe, but not 2 a.m., I don't think. Jay Crown asked, how much has your mental health improved since making the change? I'm a different human. Yeah, I was struggling for a bit. I really was. I feel like I'm myself again for the first time in so many years. There were moments when I was a reporter where I was myself, but it was also just a big cloud of stress and anxiety, and it just wasn't great. So I feel like a different human, and I'm just so much happier. Emily asked, what has been the biggest change in you that you have noticed since leaving TV? I'm social again. Like I seek going out. I want to go out. I don't say no to plans for no reason, literally at all, ever, because I have the energy. I have the time. Like I can do things again. Becca asked, how has your mindset shifted on what you want work, life, your passions to look like? And I feel like the biggest shift actually happened to me after I met Zach, where I was like, oh wait, maybe work isn't everything. Because I remember actually my friend Rachel and I at our first station in Dayton, I vividly remember she'd come over for breakfast on the weekends because we were both morning reporters, so we were like, let's do breakfast. And I remember sitting on the couch and telling her, our biggest strength is that we're single. We are not gonna be tied down by any men. We're not gonna have like men have to make our decisions about what markets to go to. We can go wherever. And then I met Zach a few months later, but I remember telling her that. And she was single at the time too. She's not anymore. But I was not planning on getting tied down by a man. But then I met Zach and I'm obviously so happy I did. It changed my thoughts on life, because with work, this is like the level of happiness I can get out of it. And this is pretty happy if this is the bottom. But with a personal life and meeting a significant other and spending my life with someone I love, that's how happy I can get. Like there's a cap when it comes to work. And with personal life and friendships and relationships, it makes me so much happier and it means so much more to me. Carrington asked, do you think non-compete agreements are outdated or unfair in TV news? So for those of you who don't know, when we sign our contracts, we sign non-competes. And that means we can't work at another station in town for 6 months, a year, whatever your agreement is. I think mine was a year, I believe. And they do that so that stations can't poach you. Like I can't be working at Local 12 and then Fox 19 is like, oh wow, we want Clancy, and then they offer me more money, and then I go right across town, and then I take some viewers with me. If I'm good enough, I don't think that would ever be the case. I don't think anyone wanted me, to be clear. So I see where the stations are coming from. As reporters though, yeah, it sucks. It really does, because if you're unhappy at your current station, you can't just try to find another station. You have to actually get out of the business or move. That's not ideal. And I at least wish maybe they could be not as long. Carrington asked, have any of your former bosses or coworkers disagreed with the videos you've posted? Yes. I mean, I definitely had a lot of people who don't understand my YouTube channel. They think it's unprofessional, at least back in the day when I was a reporter. And that's okay. We can have different opinions. I actually have gotten in trouble once for a video, only once in 5 years, because when our TV news company, Sinclair, got hacked, a lot of us started talking about it online because it shut down like our whole, like we couldn't go on air the normal way. Like it was crazy. Like we couldn't put video in TV. It was a crazy situation, and I vlogged the whole thing. And my news director was like, you can't do that. And we had a conversation in which I was like, okay, my bad. I was angry in the conversation because I thought I was the only one getting called out. I had seen the entire morning team making posts about it. They did a Facebook Live about it. And I'm like, why didn't they get in trouble? Well, they did. And by in trouble, like we didn't get disciplined or anything. But I was told what I did was really not good at all. We just weren't supposed to talk about it. And once my news director explained why, I was like, okay, this makes sense. You are right. It's giving the hackers information. One, on how bad the situation is currently, and just it was giving too much information. And I'm really glad we had that conversation. It was a productive conversation. And once I found out that everyone else got in trouble too, I was like, okay, I get it. And I'm really sorry. Carrington also asked, how in the world were you able to produce 1 to 2 videos a week while working full time? And I was barely a human in those days. I mean, I just really didn't have a social life that much. And it was a lot. And to be clear, I wasn't posting 2 videos the entire time. I was on like a little routine of that for a couple of months. And then I ended up getting totally burnt out, and I went down to 1 video a week because it really was just way too much. This next one is definitely personal, and one I wasn't even sure I was going to ask, but it's a good question. Carrington also asked, how has it been watching your health improve while watching your partner's decline? And that has been a very interesting part about all of this, where literally it was just like a month before I left TV news when Zach got sick. I don't know, we still don't really know what to call it, where he suddenly was unwell. You guys know the rib pain. And basically right now, a little update. I don't know if I've mentioned this. The doctors think it's very nerve related. They're working on it and they don't even really know exactly what's wrong, but it definitely has been interesting that, like, obviously I left news and I was so happy, but I haven't experienced, I feel like, full, like, this is amazing, because the entire time I have been out of news, Zach hasn't been feeling well. And it goes in waves. Like you can see him like He just ran in and said, like, there are turkeys. It's not like he's in a bed, right? It's just he can't work out. Everything hurts all the time. And yeah, it definitely has sucked. And I do have to say, I am grateful that I am not a reporter during this. Like, the timing, I don't want to say it was good. Like, there's no good timing to be sick. But if I was working as a reporter right now, as Zach was in this, like, period of his life where he's just really not doing too well physically, I wouldn't, like, really be able to be there for him, at least not in the way I am right now. Like, when I was a reporter, I was so just tired. I didn't have energy for anything. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm a loving person. I, of course, would try to give everything I could, but I just know it wouldn't be as much as I am able to give now. Like, I've gone to the doctor with him before, and I don't know, I'm emotionally more there. So I am grateful that I am able to be there for him as much as I can, because really, like, I feel like there's nothing I really can do. But yeah, it really has not been great. But I've also been able to see the silver lining that my mental health is better so that I can help him. Steph asked, if it wasn't for your contract, do you think you would have left a lot sooner? Yes. And that's why, like, I am glad I had my contract in place. I know I wanted to leave for so long, like years. But I'm glad I saw it through. And breaking my contract always was an option. Did I have the money to pay, like, to break my contract? Technically, yes. But I'm glad I saw it through, and that's what I always said. Like, I signed this contract. I want to, like, honor it. And even though, like, I wasn't liking what I was doing and all of that, like, I wasn't enjoying myself, my bosses were good people, right? Like, I didn't want to screw them over either. Like, oh, find a new reporter, peace out. I just didn't want to do that. So like, in hindsight, this is very much so an in hindsight thing, because I did not feel this way at the time. I am glad I had a contract, and I am glad I stuck it through. Stuck with it. Because if it wasn't for my contract, I would have left within 6 months out of a 3-year contract. So Deborah asked, has your relationship with Zach changed since you work from home 100% now and sleep has improved? And it goes back to that question, like, a couple questions ago. We haven't, I feel like, lived a normal life yet, like, where both of us are in tip-top mental, physical health shape. But yes, overall, like, I would say our relationship has improved, because I'm not just, like, sleeping all the time. I'm not tired. We can actually enjoy time. I can be active. Like, I feel like a different human. So I definitely do on the one hand, with the caveat that things aren't perfect right now, just because of all of the things I have already discussed. And I screenshotted so many more questions, guys. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this. Right now, I've been filming for 57 minutes. 57 minutes. Like, I'm obviously not posting a 57-minute video. I need to get to editing. Wow, I might do, like, a part 2 type thing, because you guys just asked so many questions. Not a part 2, but just maybe I'll just mention these things in vlogs, even TikTok. I've been very into TikTok lately and kind of just posting on there. So thank you if you submitted a question. I really just liked being open and honest about this journey with you guys, because it is a journey. It's all happening in real time. It's all new to me. And things change. Like, I don't even want to look back on the video I posted a year ago saying I quit. I feel like it'd be hard for me to watch, just because I feel like I discussed things. I don't know. It would be hard for me to watch. But I bet if I look back on that video, I'm a different person then. And I even had slightly different thoughts. So it's interesting. But anyway, I'm going to just end this, because this video is way too long. I love you guys so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.